Hi star friends, this is Anastasia with an astrology update. I hope everybody is doing well. And just to let you all know in the beginning, I am an astronomical astrologist, meaning I'm looking at where the planets are in space as opposed to a Western astrology chart that tells us where the planets are. The point of doing this is so that it can be more accurate and give us the actual data and information. If we were traveling through space together, we would want to know exactly where the planets are as opposed to just assuming based on charts that were given to us a long time ago. So looking at the events that we have coming up, it's really about trying to understand when there are specific big events taking place, and what happens on a daily basis is one thing, but what happens on when these major events happen, like in March of 2020, Pluto and Saturn and Jupiter all gathered together at exactly the same point, and it caused a huge world event. So the big events that we're moving up towards are November 15th, Jupiter and Mars and the South Node are all going to be in exactly the same place at exactly the same time. It's at the very, very end of Cancer constellation, at the very, very beginning of Leo. Now, the fact that all of this is taking place simultaneously, Jupiter is kind of the expansion, how we grow, the main focus of the year. Mars is kind of how we navigate that year. And the South Node is really about everything that has come before and what we're trying to let go of. And so when these three pieces come together, it's a major event. There will be a lot of global pieces of the puzzle that happen. There will be a lot of personal things that take place as well. The fact that it's on the cusp of Cancer and Leo means that it's kind of a boiling point. Cancer turning into Leo, getting more aggressive, getting more ego involved. And so we are going to see a lot of people's egos exposed. We are going to see a lot of ego exposed on a global scale. And it is our opportunity to really observe the ego, really observe the selfishness, really observe the parts of our society that we need to transform and change. In addition, it can be a lot of natural events, things such as storms and waves and tsunamis and big things happening, especially when that many pieces of the puzzle meet up in the end of a water constellation, beginning of a fire constellation. In addition, it's also kind of a fiery time as well. So just be conscious of where you're traveling, where you're living, of avoiding tsunamis, of course, and avoiding fires. But November is a massive, massive month because we have so much going on. And so the months of August, September, and October are really all leading up to that. And so we're getting prepared. In addition, we've just finished up so many pieces of the puzzle of our South Node in Leo and our North Node in Aquarius, that this is kind of like the grand finale of it all, because at the very, very end of November, the North Node shifts into Capricorn. Now, the North Node in Capricorn is a very challenging North Node. Anybody I've ever met with North Node in Capricorn or read for with North Node in Capricorn has had to have a lot of lessons about letting go of sentimentality and not getting stuck in the emotions and pushing through and getting the work done. North Node in Capricorn is usually somebody who's very driven, wants to be very successful, wants to really manifest. And so we are learning how to let go of the emotional reaction to kind of put our shoulders into the work and really do the work that needs to get done. The challenging piece of the puzzle is that for half of the time that the North Node is in Capricorn, we've got the Jupiter sitting with the South Node in Cancer. Now, when you have Jupiter sitting with the South Node, it makes it one very reluctant to go forward into the North Node and wanting to stay in that creativity, wanting to stay in that Cancer energy, wanting to stay in the emotions, almost overwhelmed by the emotions, so much so that it's very difficult to kind of put a shell around oneself and move forward. And because Jupiter is conjunct Cancer in the South Node, it will be slow moving. Jupiter moves one constellation per year, and Jupiter in Cancer is slow. Jupiter in Cancer is beautiful and creative and artistic and feminine and motherly and loving, but it is not the speed that Jupiter will find once it gets into Leo in June of 2027. And so from November of 2026 to June of 2027, you really want to take your time and move slowly. It's not about how much you get accomplished, it's about how smooth and graceful and patient you can be with yourself as well as with other people. Jupiter in Cancer is amazing for healing. Jupiter in Cancer is amazing for artistic projects. Jupiter in Cancer is going to bring a lot of mothers and a lot of people focusing on children and a lot of healing around the Divine Mother, bringing the Divine Mother back into our consciousness. And so take the time over the next several months to really nurture yourself, to heal yourself, to not rush yourself, because I promise once Jupiter in Leo hits, it's going to move a lot faster. And then once the North Node gets into Sagittarius, it's going to move so fast you're not even going to know what to do with it. And so we do have a slow period that we're moving through. We have a lot of changes that are taking place. But if you are patient and kind to yourself and to others, it will actually be very, very beneficial and very healing. I hope this helps. Have a wonderful day.